Okay, here's our roadmap.
Section 1. The ambition action gap. Dreaming without acting?
So why do we dream big but act small? Look, if you've ever laid in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling that awful pit of guilt in your stomach because you spent another day just scrolling instead of actually working on your big project, believe me, you are not alone. It's a crazy paradox, right? We literally have too many goals, but when it comes to execution, yeah, that's where we totally freeze up.
There's this wild conflict happening right inside your head right now. It's like a constant tug of war. On one side, you've got your ambitious mind. It dreams big, sets those massive goals, imagines this perfect ideal success. But then, on the other side, your comfort-seeking brain. And biologically, this brain is literally wired to avoid pain and seek safety. When you think about tackling a hard project, your brain sees that as a literal threat. It just wants that instant dopamine hit through distraction. So you aren't fundamentally weak, you know? Your brain is just doing what it evolved to do, seeking the comfort of distraction over the discomfort of hard work.
Which brings us to Section 2, finding your true direction, mapping your destination. To beat that biological hardwiring, we absolutely have to get direction. Because think about it, momentum means zero if you're running the wrong way. The legendary Jim Rohn hit the nail on the head here. He said, most people overestimate what they can do in a day, but they dramatically underestimate what they can do in 6 months. You see, a year, that's way too long to wait for transformation. A month, too short, but 6 months, that creates this realistic urgency. It's the absolute sweet spot to completely alter the trajectory of your life. Let's look at this 180-day journey. Day 1, absolute clarity. You need exact goals. You can't just say, oh, I want to be happy, or I want to be rich. Fuzzy goals give you fuzzy results. You need a sharp, specific focus to actually get direction. By day 90, you're raising your standards and completely changing your daily rituals, because we naturally rise to meet our own expectations. And then boom, day 180, those little changes compound into massive results. Getting that sharp direction changes the whole game. Moving right along to Section 3, building systems, not goals. Focusing on the processes over outcomes. Now that we know how to get direction, how do we actually travel? Well, James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, puts it brilliantly. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about that for a second. If you keep failing to stick to a new habit, it is not a personal flaw. Seriously, scratch that idea. You aren't broken. You just have a bad system for change. Goals are awesome for setting the direction, but the systems are the actual engines that get you there. So how do we build that engine? We use the 4 laws of behavior change. This is basically a foolproof blueprint. Step 1, the cue. Make it obvious. Step 2, the craving. Make it attractive. Step 3, the response. Make it easy. And step 4, the reward. Make it satisfying. And hey, if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make the cue invisible and the reward terribly unsatisfying. It's a structure that keeps you on course even when motivation totally disappears. But here's the real secret sauce. Identity over outcomes. Permanent transformation isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. You aren't someone trying to lose weight. You are someone who takes care of yourself. You aren't trying to write. You are a writer. Every single time you perform a tiny action, you are literally casting a vote for the new person you want to become. It stops being about forced effort and starts being about who you naturally are. Next up, Section 4, the Kaizen 1% method. Continuous improvement. This method is the ultimate cure for that heavy, overwhelming perfectionism that just paralyzes us. Kaizen is this brilliant Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement achieved through very small, incremental changes. We always think we have to change our entire lives overnight, right? But massive, sudden action usually just leads to massive burnout by Wednesday. Kaizen says, hey, slow, boring consistency, that actually works. Just 1%. That's the magic number. Listen to this micro-narrative. The British cycling team was notoriously irrelevant for like 100 years. Then a new coach comes in and he doesn't overhaul the whole shebang. He just looks for tiny, seemingly embarrassing 1% improvements in everything. The bike seats, the tire grip, even the actual pillows the athletes slept on. Fast forward a few years, they absolutely dominated the Tour de France. That is the crazy compounding power of a 1% shift. And there's this great old story that perfectly captures our modern impatience. A young samurai student asks his master how long to become the greatest swordsman. The master says 10 years. The kid, totally eager, says, well, what if I train twice as hard, day and night? And the master just looks at him and says 20 years.
Rushing the process, trying to do it all at once, without any rest or real systems, it actually delays your success. Sometimes you really do have to slow down to speed up.
Let's move to Section 5, Mastering Deep Work, Creating True Value. So once you get direction and start moving, you have to protect that momentum. And that's where Cal Newport's concept of deep work comes in. It's defined as professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their absolute limit. In our world, where our phones are constantly buzzing with notifications and new shiny distractions, deep work is a literal superpower. It is the only way to create true, meaningful value. Look at this contrast right here. On one hand, you have shallow work, answering emails, scrolling social media, doing minor admin tasks. It requires basically zero real brain power. It steals your time and completely drains your momentum. But deep work? That's developing complex strategies, deep analysis, writing a book. That produces high-value, deeply fulfilling output. Shallow work keeps you looking busy. Deep work actually makes you successful.
Newport outlines 4 main scheduling philosophies to make this happen. Monastic means you cut out all shallow tasks entirely. You basically go off the grid. Bimodal splits your time by specific days or weeks. Rhythmic is building a daily time-blocked habit, like, say, 3 hours every single morning. And journalistic, that's fitting deep work in wherever you possibly can, which is super flexible but requires insane discipline. You need to figure out which of these fits your life so you can fiercely protect your direction.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, Becoming a True Finisher, Crossing the Finish Line.
We have to kill the habit of quitting. Have you ever known someone whose discipline is so intense it's almost scary? They literally never miss a day. Well, ancient Zen monks in Japan had a system for this called Gyoji. It's described as a practice that perpetuates itself through relentless consistency. Adopting this Gyoji mindset isn't about trying harder, it's about letting your old, inconsistent, excuse-making self die, so an unbreakable identity can be born.
And here is the harsh, beautiful truth. Discipline is not about doing what you love. It is about doing what is necessary, regardless of how you feel. Waiting for motivation is a massive trap. It keeps you stuck. The fundamental difference between people who win and people who lose: winners take action even when it is wildly uncomfortable. They just stop negotiating with their feelings.
So here is your ultimate finisher's code. First, start ridiculously small. I mean, a 5-minute run. That's enough to prove to your brain that you can actually finish something and rewires you from quitter to finisher. Second, remove the option of quitting. Make the decision 100% non-negotiable. Third, stop relying on fleeting feelings to dictate what you do today. And fourth, make a public commitment. Hold yourself accountable. Actually, right now, I want you to mentally pick one goal and commit to a date to finish it.
I'll leave you with this one provocative question. Will the next 6 months of your life be a story of action and achievement, or a story of procrastination and regret? You have the compass now. You know how to get direction. You know the systems. The time for waiting around is officially over. So, are you going to stay a dreamer, or are you finally going to become a finisher? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.